of the things I'm so excited about with this YouTube channel is that I am reaching so many new beaders and converting a bunch of you into bead weavers, which means that we have a lot of those kinds of questions about things that maybe some more advanced people feel are very basic, but things like I've gotten several emails asking about tips for threading your needle. The needles that we use for bead weaving are very small and they have very small eyes, and it is not a simple thing to get your needle threaded some days. So I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that I know about making your life a little bit easier. Let's take a closer look here. What I have sitting here are, we've zoomed in quite a bit, so hopefully you'll be able to see, but these are two different size needles. This is a size 10 needle. It's a little bit more stiff. It doesn't bend quite as well. I can tell this one is a size 12 needle because I used it for my videos today and I've already got it bent a little bit, which means that it is a little bit, it's more flexible. It's a thinner gauge of steel that they use, and so that means it bends. It also means that it has a smaller eye up at the tip. Size 10 needle is going to have the biggest eye, so if you're having a lot of trouble, my default is I want to use a size 10 needle with the big eye unless I have to go down to a size 12. Sometimes you do have to go down to a size 12 to get your needle and thread through a bead multiple times. So sometimes you just can't get around it. But try the size 10s first. There's also a size 11 in the middle that generally has an eye that's closer to a size 10. So that's another option for you. Here's some of the tips that I know. I generally recommend people use Fireline for their beading thread. Fireline, though, has a rounded profile, and because it actually is a fishing line, I mean, that's what it was developed for, was for fishing line. And so what you have to do with the end is blunt the tip. And so that just means that you're either going to take your fingernails and rub it against that end to flatten it down. You can, if you've got some flat nose pliers, you can use that to kind of just pull across that tip and flatten it down. I will occasionally run it through my teeth, and I always get in trouble with any of my dentist friends or dentist spouses because that will actually over time wear a groove in your tooth. So don't do that as a regular thing, but every once in a while I'll forget and I just automatically do it. So Fireline, make sure you flatten down the tip. That will make your life so much easier right there. Next thing, you want to kind of hold it really close up to the tip of where your thread is. If you hold it way back here, you've got all of this movement that keeps you from getting it in the hole really well. It is much stiffer if you hold it really close to the tip. So that's another way to go about it. For some reason, the concept of bringing your needle to the thread as opposed to thinking about poking your thread through the needle makes a difference. I don't know. Normally, I take my thread and I poke it through the needle, but when I'm having trouble and I stop and think about it and remember to bring my needle to the thread instead and just not be moving this thread, it generally works better. See, I'm having all sorts of trouble because I can't really see what I'm doing here because I'm a little far away from what's going on. There we go. Oh, nope, I didn't get it. There, now I got it. So, you know, those are some tips. Here's some other things. If you cut it at an angle, when you're cutting this end off, cut at an angle. That way you've just got a tiny little point that needs to get up through there, and then the rest will follow. Make sure you're using a nice sharp cutter. Fireline is a little bit difficult to find really good cutters for it. I've got a video on various kinds of cutters and I'll pop a link up for that. Those cutters will work really nicely with the Fireline. So if you're getting a really shredded tip, that's going to be a big problem for you. You need a nice clean cut. And then the other thing about needles is when they're made, they're actually stamped out on an assembly line. And because that eye is stamped out, it means that one side of it, the side that was at the top of the stamp is going to be a little bit smoother than the side that was on the bottom of the stamp. So there may be a little bit of extra steel that's still attached on that bottom edge. So if you're having trouble threading it into one side, sometimes just as simple as flipping it over and trying the other side will make a big difference for you. And then the last thing that I want to mention is if you're working with a size 12 or even a smaller, a size 13 needle, the eye on this, as you're working with it, can collapse a little bit on you. That is, get skinnier. What happens is when you're pulling it through a really tight bead, you know, after you've already done multiple passes through a bead and you've got lots of thread going in there, sometimes when you bring your needle through, you really have to tug on the needle to get it through there. That's going to be the time when this eye could collapse down on you. And it doesn't mean that it's not still usable, but it means that it's going to be even harder to thread that needle the next time, because now that eye is, instead of being like this, is going to be, you know, even less. So if you start having trouble with it and it's one that you've been using, you might want to just go ahead and pull out a new needle out of your pack. So those are the tips that I know of for threading your needle. Honestly, you're going to get better at it. That's the other thing, is it's practice. And make sure you've got good magnifiers so you can see what you're looking at. And good lighting also makes a big difference. And then just practice over time. Trust me, it won't be as big of an issue down the road. Good luck threading your needles and have fun bead weaving.